What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. Woodward Bets in the house to get your weekend started. Beer and Scott here to talk everything in the sports world tonight. Scott, coming off I call it lackluster, I guess, Thursday night football game. I mean, it was pretty boring, but the best bets in that football game were certainly good to us. I know you gave out first half under that didn't cause much sweating. I had the under in the game, so we'll start with the good news. 2-0 on our NFL best bets last night. So how we doing, buddy? Happy Friday to you.
Yeah, doing good. Had actually, when you're owner of a house, you always got something that comes up. And today was the visit by the plumber had to come by today, Chris. And apparently, I had a little bit too much lint from the laundry get down in my pipes there and kind of clogged them up. And when I heard someone in the shower and I was downstairs and I heard gurgle, 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 and my pipes were like just struggling to swallow the water that was trying to go down, I thought, oh boy, that's not good. So. Yeah, a little bit of mess on the floor. $100 later, them guys are out of here, and everything's back to normal around here. So that's a good thing. So now I'm ready to dive in. Let's pick some winners, and it's Friday, so I might even have to crack some beers today, Chris. I'm in the beer drinking mood. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to smash some beers today.
Come on. My freaking name is beer. I mean, you can't have a name beer and not to crush a lot of beers, and I'm a big dude. I clearly been drinking probably too many beers over the years. It's kind of helped me get to where I'm at right now. But as far as the gurgle, I mean, that goes for not only your house plumbing, but your actual plumbing inside of you. You know, I've had a few of them days where I'm hearing them same noises like, well, I better find me a bathroom pretty quick here. So just be on the lookout for that. But just be glad $100 and done. I mean, that could be much worse. I've had some pretty disastrous plumbing things happen to me over the years. So good thing you had that first half under to cover that $100 easily for the plumber. But like you said, we're going to recap the game last night. I mean, there's not really a ton to go over, but we'll still go over some of the stuff we saw. We'll update the NFL injuries. The news keeps coming in hot and heavy here in the NFL. So we'll get you updated there. And then we're going to go a little bit heavier NBA tonight. We got 9 games on the slate, so we'll get into some DFS plays, and we'll end with our best bet segment. But before we get into all that, as always, Twitter, @WoodwardBets, just crossed 200 followers, so thank you, everybody that has taken a minute and given us a follow over there. We appreciate that very, very much. Make sure you're following the network as well, @Woodward Sports. We talked about it on yesterday's show. A lot of great shows going on the network all day long, so make sure you guys are tuning into those. Let's get into the meat of the show here, Scott. So Thursday night.
I got to give you a little shout out, not to cut you out. I got to give you a little props now. Now, 3 weeks in a row, Ryan, Braylon, and Maz have had you on their bottom line show, Chris, for their 335 segments. So if you guys want to get over there, check that out. He hops on with them. They usually, have about 4 or 5 questions for the beer man. And yes, so far he's on there. He's 3-0 on his Thursday night football picks. So we got to give you a little bit of credit for that. I know those boys have been enjoying that. And, we don't mind helping Maz either with his Survivor picks. Even to be in the Survivor this long, Chris, I mean, you gotta be in the last like 10% of the pool. Most of the people got wiped out here with these last few upsets we've seen in the last month. But hopefully Maz brings it in. That'll be nice. I'm sure he'll be a happy fellow if he can get over that finish line and win that Survivor pool.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to those guys. Always fun being on their show, but it's a very entertaining show. If you haven't checked it out yet, Braylon and Ryan do a great job. Maz in there as well. I mean, I get a lot of good laughs. There's always some good videos at the end that are pretty funny, but some great discussions on everything going on in the sports world and different viewpoints on things. And those guys will get into it. They got into it yesterday. I don't know if you saw the show, Scott, but they were going head to head, toe to toe. In the beginning of that show, talking about Mel Tucker and the contract. So it's just very engaging, and I really enjoy the show. I appreciate them having us on, and we'll hopefully continue our run of good bets over there. And Maz told me he's down like the final 13, I believe, in his Survivor pool. So Maz, we're pulling for you. Hopefully you're moving on, and we spoke about a little last night by text. So we'll see what he went with here. But I know he had 2 options: New England being one of them. So hopefully he went with the Patriots there. But good luck to our boy Maz. But those guys again. So check them out 2 to 4 in the afternoon again at Woodward Sports on Twitter. So Also on YouTube, anywhere you can find your favorite podcast. We announced yesterday we're going to be on a lot more places as well. So make sure you're searching for us as well to get the show. Every Wednesday, we always cover the NFL top to bottom, our DFS plays, some bets that we're getting a lean towards. So that show to me is good for 3, 4, 5 days. So a little bit on demand there. When you have time to get to it, you get to it. If you guys are on YouTube watching us over there, please make sure you subscribe. Also hit that thumbs up button. And then one more news nugget here before we get into things, Scott. Every Sunday, we're going live 9 a.m. talking NFL football, top to bottom. Again, we'll cover it from every aspect. But we want you guys to be involved in it as well. Your questions. So get over there, jump into YouTube with us, and we'll be keeping an eye on those questions all throughout the show and interweaving you guys into their conversation. That's why we are here. Scott and I understand that. A lot of people, a lot of sites that they get up here and they kind of forget what got them to where they're at. It's you guys, the listeners. Without you, without your input, there is no Woodward Bets, and we certainly understand that. So, again, you're going to hear me say it a lot, but I appreciate each and every one of you for joining us here on the network and listening to our show each and every day. It really means a lot. So, Scott, let's talk last night, 25-0 New England. So, a pretty slow game. Again, you nailed that first half under, so hopefully people took advantage of that. It was pretty much a snooze fest. Atlanta had multiple opportunities in the red zone, and just failure after failure after failure. And we talked about yesterday, no Cordero Patterson, and he would not have made that big of a difference. But he legit, if you look at this team, he's been the only playmaker that they have this season. Again, Kyle Pitts has been more hype than actual production. Mike Davis has been a guy that's really done nothing, kind of as a 4th, 5th round fantasy pick this summer. He hasn't panned out. The whole Calvin Ridley debacle. And then you have Matt Ryan. Is he washed? Is he not? I mean, this team is just a disaster. And then on the defensive side of the ball, not much better. So there you see, just pick six. I mean, Rosen comes in and throws a pick six instantly. So kind of sums up the career of Josh Rosen in one play. But so New England, kind of as we expected, Scott, will win by running the ball. We saw basically a pretty even split between Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris, which is kind of what we expected. But to win with the run game, to win with your defense, to win with Mac Jones just kind of managing the game, making the safe throws, he looked great. He looked accurate. They get it done again. But this Atlanta team, they look like one of the worst teams in football right now. I mean, you put a 0 on the board a week after you go out and you get throttled by Dallas. Dallas probably could have put 80 on them, Scott. It was like 35 or 38-3 at halftime. So this team is just quickly spiraling down the drain. Not to use a plumbing term on you after you just had a debacle at your house, but you talk about the plumbing going bad. I mean, this Atlanta Falcons team certainly circling the drain right now.
Oh, man, they were so bad. And then we see Van Noy obviously score that touchdown, another ex-Lion, somebody doing well. I was kind of laughing Robbie Ray won the MVP, another ex-Tiger, or I'm sorry, the Cy Young. So, it just seems like all these ex-Detroiters are winning all kinds of awards and titles everywhere. But, that's the story of us here in Detroit sports landscape. But, yeah, that game was, I was actually at the bowling alley last night trying to watch. Usually we watch. And it was one of them games that actually could not really catch my attention all that much. It just seems like, New England, every time you looked up, New England had the ball. They were controlling the possession, doing what they do. But I think we're getting to the point here where I think we got to start talking about New England being a serious contender for the Super Bowl. I mean, they're playing really well. That defense is playing well, and they're playing some efficient football. I always say when New England's good is when they're one of the best teams within 20 yards. So the line of scrimmage, I think they're getting there really quick. The rookie's not missing any receivers, that's for sure. And they're running the ball well. So we'll have to see as it moves on. But I got New England in my thoughts here for a potential Super Bowl team.
I got to pump the brakes on that right now. And we spoke about this yesterday. Braylon asked the question, how good is New England? Do you believe in them? And my answer was simple. I think they are a good team. Are they an elite team? I don't think so. And you look at some of the teams they beat recently, Scott. I mean, this Atlanta team, garbage. Cleveland last week. Baker Mayfield is more injured than you are from raking leagues. I mean, the guy's a walking mash unit. So great, you get a win there. You beat Carolina with Sam Darnold basically doing nothing. You go and you beat the Chargers, impressive win. You beat the Jets, but you lose to the Cowboys. You lose to the Buccaneers. You lose to the Saints. So their wins this year, 2 wins against the Jets. They beat Houston. The Chargers win was impressive, no doubt. And then Carolina, Cleveland, Atlanta. Scott, that's not a Super Bowl winning resume right there.
Well, I get it, but to me, the AFC does not really have a horse out there in front of the race at this point. I would have thought it would have been Buffalo or somebody like that, or even Kansas City. But I mean, we've seen those two teams struggle a little bit as well. So, I mean, I just say they're in the conversation. I think Tennessee's another team in the conversation. I think there's 4 or 5 teams that, hey, we all know, man, you get in that playoffs, anything could happen. We've seen it over time. And I just think New England's built, like a team that would be a team that'd be scary to play in the playoffs. Nobody likes playing those control possession type teams that have good defenses. They're just they don't make very many mistakes. So I think too, they may get a little bit better here as time goes on. We're only halfway through the season yet too. So which, most teams are about now over their 9th game. So, we're just barely over the halfway mark. So we've still got a lot of football to play, but at this point, I think they'd be a tough out in the playoffs. I think.
The next 4 games are really going to tell the story here for this New England team. They get Tennessee the week of Thanksgiving, then they're at Buffalo, at Indianapolis, and then a home game against Buffalo. So you're going to play 4 pretty damn good teams, and Buffalo probably is that leader in the AFC right now, in my opinion. Tennessee right there as well. Even with the loss of Derrick Henry, they continue to get it done. And the Colts have started to put it together here. So a tough 4-week stretch coming up here. So we'll see if New England can answer the bell. All right, let's walk through the injuries, Scott. Again, Friday, always a big day. 4 injuries here. So we got a lot to cover here. So I'm going to rip through these. We'll cover a few at a time, and then we'll kind of digest them here. So I'm not just spitting out 1,000 injuries at once. So we'll start at the running back position, a couple bigger names. Nick Chubb looks like he's going to be back in that lineup. He was activated from the COVID list, so it sounds like Nick Chubb good to go. Obviously, a fantastic spot here this week against the Detroit Lions. We also have Elijah Mitchell, Scott. No practice on Thursday. This one sounds like it's going to come down to a game-time decision for Elijah Mitchell. So if you're waiting on him, you're waiting on Jeff Wilson, we're likely going to have to wait until Sunday to get that answer. So let's stop with these two pretty big name running backs here. Anything come to mind here? Pretty cut and dry here, though. Chubb back, Mitchell game time decision.
Heck yeah, we're gonna have to fire up a Chubby on for against the Lions here. I mean, that's a pretty easy call. So I think the Chubby is definitely in play on Sunday. And then we talk about that San Francisco situation. I know I've got Wilson on a couple of my teams just waiting in the wings. So if Mitchell is definitely going to be out, I'm going to have to pay attention to that injury report today. Usually Friday is a big day. If Mitchell does not practice, I'm going to feel a lot better about Wilson moving into the weekend in that game time decision. But I think Wilson coming back. I mean, that's a dark horse there. I think we've seen him prove himself in the past. So I'm kind of looking forward to him getting the start if Mitchell's out.
Yeah, that one, if you're waiting on Jeff Wilson, unfortunately, you're going to have to wait it out till those 11:30 a.m. Eastern inactives come out. So we'll see. If we get any news on Mitchell, we'll obviously pass it along. Jeff Wilson, though, certainly somebody you want to keep on your bench at a minimum. Even if Mitchell's playing, I would not be cutting him loose. So Aaron Rodgers, no practice yesterday, but did return to practice here on Friday. So sounds like he's going to be good to go. Kyler Murray, this one again, sounding a little bit more optimistic. Limited practice for him on Thursday, but we did get the news today, Scott. DeAndre Hopkins will not play. He's already been ruled out for this week 11 games. So Arizona traveling to Seattle without their best receiver. Jeremy McNichols, no practice yesterday. He was also ruled out today, still dealing with a concussion. So that Titans backfield, Scott, this one, let's stop here for a minute because we spoke a little bit about Deonta Foreman the other day. Adrian Peterson, they bring him in, doesn't get a ton of work, and it looks like Foreman may be the guy. Well, now you take McNichols out of that backfield. Maybe there's a little bit more pass-catching work to go around here as well. So the arrow seems to be pointing up here on Deonta Foreman this week.
Yeah, definitely, especially, on a team like Tennessee that we see, we obviously know they love to run the ball. So I think, he's in a pretty good spot. I definitely like. I looked at some of the games I'm playing in some of my season longs, and I'm actually matched up against him a few times, and I did not like that matchup. I think he's in a good spot. So hopefully, if you got him, you're lucky enough to get him on the waiver wire, like we always say. Be active. Make sure you're going after some of these guys. This last few weeks here, there's been some running backs that are in some spots that are going to be viable here for these next couple weeks. So he's definitely one of them.
Yep. More Cleveland news. Baker Mayfield continues to be limited. Sounds like he's going to continue to play through all these injuries somehow. And I still wonder if Case Keenum is a better option there right now than Baker Mayfield. As crazy as it sounds, to me, that's the realistic option is Keenum has to be somebody that they're thinking about here. But we'll see if Mayfield's able to give it a go. Dallas Goedert, limited practice, and just signed a big new hefty contract there with Philadelphia. Sounds like a 4-year deal for Dallas Goedert. So Philadelphia locking him up. Saquon Barkley, this one sounding optimistic as well. I believe that's the Monday night game. Got in a limited practice here today. So dealing with a little bit of an ankle injury. Sounds like he's trending towards a return. Tampa Bay, other side of that game. Gronk, fully back at practice yesterday. Sounds like he should be good to go. Antonio Brown, not so optimistic there. Continues to miss practice with that ankle injury. Same with Alvin Kamara. This one not sounding good either, Scott. Sounds like he may miss another week. Still dealing with that knee injury, no practice yesterday. Lamar Jackson back at practice today. We kind of hinted at this, dealing with a little bit of an illness. Probably give him a few days, and he should be fine. So trending towards a return in that game. Hollywood Brown, probably not as optimistic there. Still dealing with some injuries there. So a few more to get to, Scott, but those last few, obviously, the Lamar guy I really like this week. I think a lot of people are going to flock to Josh Allen. They're going to flock to that Kansas City-Dallas game. And I know it's not an ideal spot with Chicago, but the Bears have not been as great defensively. Also got news today that Mack will be placed on season-ending IR. So, that defense without Khalil Mack, not as intimidating here for a guy like Lamar Jackson. So I really like him this week against Chicago.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson. I mean, he's just always fun to just roster anyway. He's fun just to watch. He's kind of, one of those super, video game type players like, obviously Kyler Murray and a few others that are in the NFL. I always like playing Lamar Jackson. But, we'll see with the injury or with the illness. Sounds like he should be good to go. But, some of these other guys like Kamara, that's going to be interesting. If you're a Mark Ingram owner, that's another guy, Chris, that you could almost pretty much say he was on the waiver wire as well. So, I mean, this year here has been, if you're active on the waiver wire, I think you should be in a pretty good spot. And then Antonio Brown with that ankle, like to see him get back out there. But I don't know, Chris. I don't know if he's going to get in any trouble. It sounds like his chef tried to rat him out for having some kind of fake vaccine card, which, we don't need to get into all, the vaccine stuff. But I don't know if they're going to suspend him or anything if that comes up. But, just another thing of drama surrounding Antonio Brown.
Yeah, surprised it took this long, to be honest. I mean, Brady's had him pretty well under control, and now all this. So, but the way the NFL kind of just with the Green Bay situation, whatever, I don't see anything major coming here for Antonio Brown, but we'll see. So, some other notes, Allen Robinson for Chicago. It sounds like he's going to miss this week, listed as doubtful for Sunday. So obviously a big blow to that Chicago offense. But I do think this could be a decent spot, Scott. I just said I like Lamar Jackson. Justin Fields has been playing well as a bye week, so they've had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. It's not like Allen Robinson's been doing much of anything. If you're a season-long owner of Allen Robinson, you're probably ready to cut him loose if you haven't already, and I think you can go ahead and do that. But it just kind of tightens that tree now where Darnell Mooney's had some pretty good games lately. Cole Kmet coming off season high in targets, catches, yards in that last game. So are you as optimistic as I am here that this game, Baltimore-Chicago, is the one I've kind of pinpointed as the one that has that middling total. It doesn't have the sexy 55 that's on the marquee with Dallas and Kansas City or even Green Bay, Minnesota approaching 50. Sometimes there's these games that have that middling total, but this one has the feel like it could shoot out a little bit.
Yeah, Baltimore's defense hasn't been all that great. I know that, They've got beaten up a little bit by the running backs here recently. They're in the bottom third of the league against the run. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see if Montgomery, I think that's a big thing. I think they're going to have to establish the run a little bit, and then maybe they can open it up. But I think, with Baltimore, I mean, they have been throwing a little bit more. We'll see, like you mentioned with Khalil Mack. I think really whoever gets out and controls the pace of the game. I think if Chicago gets out and makes Lamar Jackson uh, where in a hurry and put him in situations where he's going to have to throw the ball, I think you may see a game here. I haven't seen the weather. I haven't really looked into that yet, but we are getting to that time of year, Chris, where we got to kind of start paying attention a little bit to these teams that play in the Midwest, especially with some weather. So a lot of times that could be a deciding factor for me if teams indoors are playing in warmer weather. I think generally as a rule of thumb, I haven't really ran the numbers on it, but it just seems like when it's warmer, it does seem like the games have a better chance to shoot out. So that is a little something I'm going to have to keep in mind especially for DFS purposes. Now, season long, you generally don't worry as much about the weather as you do, but if you're going to stack up a game and you want, that high upside, that's something that I generally like to keep in mind.
Yep, have to. In the Midwest, these outdoor games, you never know. So it's a great point. Weather, a lot more involved in fantasy sports than people realize, especially in baseball. And we'll give you some weather stuff as we get closer to baseball. And I don't think as many people factor that into their football research as well. Now, there are people that will overreact to it. You don't want to underreact to things. You don't want to overreact to things. We'll try to find the middle ground on some of these weather things, but it's a great point. So a few more injuries to get through here. Again, Friday, always a big day of injuries in the NFL. No practice today for Sterling Shepard of the Giants. So they have an extra day, though. They play Monday. So not sounding good with Sterling Shepard. James Robinson, questionable for Sunday. So we'll see if he's able to get back in that lineup for the Jacksonville Jaguars. No Anthony Schwartz for Cleveland. Most of you probably don't even know who the hell that is. Wide receiver. Donovan Peoples-Jones listed as questionable in that one. And Cam Newton officially named the starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers, as we expected. Last note, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It's kind of bounces back and forth. Is he going to be back? Are they going to wait till after their bye? They're being coy about it. They're not saying, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. If you're a Darrell Williams owner, you're kind of hoping CEH spends another week on the injured reserve. If you're a CEH owner, obviously you want to see him back in that lineup, but we'll see what kind of split they're going to roll out when he returns, but no news on that. So, all right, Scott, that was a lot of injuries here. Friday, always a big day. Anything we missed, anything you want to hit on here still with injuries with the NFL before we kind of turn the page over to some NBA?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when Sunday show rolls around, we'll know a little bit more about the injuries. So if you guys want to get on in there with us on Sunday, fire away any questions or anything that you have a concern or somebody you're thinking about picking up on the waiver wire or maybe starting this guy over that guy. Get on in there in our YouTube chat, fire away, and we'll be sure that we at least try to get to your guys' questions.
Absolutely. So that's every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Make sure you guys are joining us. Grab a cup of coffee and come hang out. And take an early look at the NFL. Like I said, we'll update all these injuries. We'll have the latest spreads and totals, player props, things that we're attacking in the market, and, of course, our favorite DFS plays, season-long sit starts. We'll do it all, but we'll mostly answer your guys' questions on that show. So 9 a.m. Sunday, we will see you guys all for that. So, Scott, let's go to some NBA tonight. 9 games on the docket here. I already have a lot of news, so let me rip through some injuries here. In the NBA, sounds like LeBron James may return here tonight in this game against Boston. So we're waiting on that news. No Luka once again here tonight for the Dallas Mavericks. No Kevin Durant here tonight for Brooklyn. So that one obviously huge. We know they're already missing Kyrie Irving. So a massive spot here for James Harden. Some cheap pieces there as well. Nikola Jokic, questionable here tonight. Sounds like he'll be good to go, but we'll keep an eye on that. Locally here, Scott, Golden State coming to town. A good buddy of mine's kid is a huge Steph Curry fan. So he played it smart, though. He almost bought tickets the other night, and I'm proud of my boy. He looked ahead at the schedule, and he said, you know what? Golden State's played a lot of games here. This is a back-to-back. I'm worried if Steph Curry is going to sit because that's his kid's favorite player. And here we have it. Steph Curry and Draymond Green both going to be out tonight for the Golden State Warriors as they visit here locally in Detroit. So if you paid to see Steph Curry, not going to happen here tonight. So we'll continue with the injuries. Jaylen Brown will remain on the sidelines for Boston. No Nikola Vucevic for Chicago. And then a couple minor injuries. OG Anunoby, we mentioned the other day. And then Brook Lopez remains out. Michael Porter Jr. remains out. And no Joe Harris for Brooklyn. So, Scott, that all being said, there's a lot of usage to go around here. We're talking names like Steph Curry, Luka, Kevin Durant. I mean, there's going to be a ton of value plays on this slate. So let's prioritize them. Let's give some of our favorite plays in the NBA tonight in DFS. Who do you got?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as you mentioned, with no Luka, I really like Brunson. I mean, he's pretty cheap on FanDuel, only 6,500. He's a guy that I'm going to be looking at there. I mean, the Joker's always a guy I like to start off building my team. So I do like as a spend up to play Joker. But as you mentioned, there's going to be a lot of guys here that are going to get a lot more usage than their pricing shows. A guy like Jordan Poole is a guy that's going to get a lot more run. Maybe Wiggins tonight would be somebody, and maybe even Juan Toscano Anderson might be a guy. He's really cheap that you might get for the Warriors. So I think you got a lot of value with the Warriors. As you were saying, you're going to have some value with some of those Mavericks as well. But yeah, I think we can start with Brunson and Poole are two guys that we could start with as value guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So Dallas, I think there's more than I love Brunson as well. And this kid has really come a long way. Loved watching him in college. It took him a few years to find his way, but he looks like the guy you saw in college now. So playing with a lot of confidence. Your old boy, Michigan boy, Tim Hardaway Jr., also playing some very good basketball right now. When you run some of the simulations without Luka on the court, Tim Hardaway really pops. His usage jumps more than anybody when Luka's not playing. So I really like him. And, of course, Porzingis on the high end of those Dallas guys really has to do it all. These two teams just played the other night. Scott, Luka dropped 48 on Phoenix on DraftKings, only shot 35% in that game. So the shooting ticks up a little bit. We're talking about a guy that can hit 50, 60 fantasy points in this matchup. So Dallas, certainly a team you can look to tonight. You mentioned Golden State. There's going to be a ton of usage to go around. So Wiggins, Poole, even a Gary Payton Jr. maybe gets some more minutes here. Looney. So I really like Poole coming back home here. Again, another Michigan boy coming back to Detroit. So, he'll have some supporters. He wants to show out in this game. So I really like him for some value. James Harden on the high end is probably the way I'm going to go over Jokic tonight. I know Jokic, one that you mentioned on the high end. I don't hate him, but I love Harden. Brooklyn going to need more, so we're going to get more out of Blake Griffin. LaMarcus Aldridge, a guy that's been providing a lot of offense for them in limited minutes. And, of course, Patty Mills for some value there. So Brooklyn, Golden State, certainly teams that we can target here tonight in our daily fantasy contest. So anything
now,
else
Chris,
here, Scott?
I did read here about the Joker when you were talking here that I guess he dinged up his wrist a little bit last night that I was not aware of. So apparently his wrist is – we're going to have to keep our eye on that one. But I think left-handed he could put up a bunch of points against the Bulls anyway. But, yeah, just wanted to get that out there about the Joker there. I didn't realize that until after the fact there.
Yep, so hopefully we get news on that here soon. If he goes, I don't mind him, and you're going to have enough value to get him in a lineup. I just prefer James Harden. Without Durant, I mean, Harden's going to have to be everything for that offense. So just don't forget about those cheaper pieces. A couple guys in the mid-range I'm looking at tonight. We mentioned Jordan Poole already. I like Cade Cunningham on the other side of that game. They're going to need him, even with a Golden State skeleton crew. This guy's gotten a lot more aggressive offensively recently, so it's led to a lot more production fantasy-wise, so I like him a lot. And another name I really like, Josh Hart, playing some good ball right now for New Orleans, still missing Zion and Brandon Ingram. So Josh Hart, another guy to look at for tonight. All right, Scott, let's wrap this thing up with some best bets for the people. So mostly NBA here on the docket tonight. I do think there's a little bit of college football if you want to go that route, but let's get the people some winners. We were 4-2 last night, so no stinky spray tonight. We got it back on track a little bit after a rough night the other night. Football was key, but did have a few winners in the NBA as well last night. So let's roll out some more NBA winners. What do we got? Best bets for Friday night.
Well, the first one I'm going to stay with the NBA here as we have been, and I'm actually going to stay in the hometown here with the Pistons and the Golden State Warriors. This one started at over under 210. Now with Curry being out, it's down to 200. Chris, I think that's a bit too low. I mean, all these NBA games that we've seen have been putting up a lot more points. I'm going to take the over here in this game, the over 200 at this point. I really like. And then you did mention some college football. I was looking at this Memphis game against Houston, and Chris, I like the over in this game as well. I think Memphis is going to put up over 20 some points. I actually like Memphis's team total here. So I am going to go with the over 59 in this Memphis-Houston game tonight at 9 o'clock.
All right, I like it. Nothing like a little high-scoring college football to get you going. So there's been a lot of MAC games lately that have been putting up a ton of points. Those are always fun. So I love it. Cheering for some points there in that college football game. All right, I'm going to give you some of my favorite picks here in the NBA tonight. Mostly spread picks tonight. I'm going to give you three that I really like here. I'm going to start with the Orlando Magic. Looks like plus 10 across the board right now. We mentioned no Kevin Durant, and as good as James Harden is, the rest of that team, I mean, I like Aldridge for DFS. I like Patty Mills just because they're going to get more minutes, more opportunities. I know Orlando has been a disaster this season, just 4-11 so far, but I like them with the 10 points here. I think it's a young team. It's going to have some confidence in this matchup. There's quite a few plays on that side. Wendell Carter Jr. playing well, Mo Bamba. So this one could be a stackable game, but I like Orlando to stay in this one and cover the 10 points. So we'll get you an underdog. Then I'm going to go with a big favorite here. My Bucks have not been great, Scott. 7-8 so far this season, but they get a pretty bad Oklahoma City Thunder team coming to town here tonight. Middleton back in that lineup. It's 12.5 at a lot of books. I'm going to lay that 12.5 here with the Milwaukee Bucks and take them. And then one more, I'm going to give you one more home underdog, another team. Actually, I'm going to give you a road underdog, actually, mixed up on the teams here. I'm going to go with Chicago in Denver. You mentioned Jokic. We can get out ahead of this a little bit. The Chicago Bulls have been playing extremely well. I let that one go the other night in Portland, but in this spot here against Denver, Denver's already missing some pieces. If Jokic is to be out, I just don't see how Denver competes in this game. So I like grabbing this one now. Even if Jokic plays, I still think Denver can hang or win this game. So I'm going to go with Chicago. Looks like plus 1.5 is the consensus here. There is a plus 2 at FanDuel. But for our best bets, we'll go Chicago plus 1.5. So again, for me, Orlando catching 10 in Brooklyn. I like Milwaukee minus the 13 at home against Oklahoma City, and the Chicago Bulls plus 1.5 in Denver. So Scott, let's have 5 best bets on the board here tonight. So let's hope for a 4-1 or a 5-0 night here with the best bets.
I got one best bet, me smashing a bunch of beers tonight. I'm ready to roll tonight. I don't know what it is. I just you wake up in that mood, you're just ready to rock it out today. I mean, that's the way I felt all day today. And then, like I said, I woke up and I saw this little mess I had to get taken care of in the basement and with the plumbing guy, and now it's all taken care of, and we're doling out some winter. So I think it's time to crack us a couple beers and enjoy our Friday night and watch our calls and our plays come through here for the people, and we'll get us some lunch money for this college football Saturday we got coming up, and hopefully we can see both our Michigan teams pull out a victory this week.
I mean, you've had a shitty day.
No pun intended.
Love it. So hopefully you still got that big box of Modelo's to get you through, but glad it wasn't a serious plumbing issue. We know that things can be much worse, but we want to thank you guys for hanging out here with the Woodward Bets crew. We greatly appreciate each and every one of you. Make sure you're following us on Twitter. Make sure you tell your friends, your girlfriend, your coworkers, your people you're in a fantasy league with, like, hey, come check these guys out. Don't keep it to yourself. Let them know as well. Let's spread the wealth here, and hopefully you guys are taking advantage of these free winners that we've been handing out. But again, appreciate each and every one of you here. Make sure you are tuning in tomorrow morning. We're going to go over all the top 25 action in the college football slate. I got a pretty hot take you're going to want to come back for that show regarding one of the local teams here. So We do that every Sunday morning, looking at every top 25 game and giving some thoughts and our favorite best bets. So make sure you guys are tuning in for that. And again, Sunday morning, 9 a.m., set those alarms, grab a cup of coffee, come hang out with the Woodward Bets guys as we do go over the entire NFL slate. So, Scott, final thoughts for the people here Friday night. What do you got?
Nope, just excited to, like I said, watch some games tonight, get us some winners, and we'll be back tomorrow, like you said, for some college football. But yeah, I'm excited to dive into these beers I got over here. So let's get it rolling.
That's right. Let's get to it, no doubt. So for Scott, for our boys Spencer and Easy behind the glass, I am Beer. We are Woodward Bets. Good luck with all of your bets tonight, your fantasy contest, and thank you so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow morning.